Hillary is getting trapped over the Iran issue. From the start of her tenure in the State Department, Hillary has had to adjust her position to meet the demands of a president who was basically pro-Iranian, and the American electorate was determined to see that Iran not develop nuclear weapons. So what she did was that as Congress was pushing the White House to enact tougher and tougher sanctions, Hillary publicly spoke about the importance of sanctions, celebrated the fact that they were working, and then privately sent her Undersecretary of State and her spokesman at the State Department to Capitol Hill to testify against the sanctions. At one point, she sent Wendy Sherman, her Undersecretary of State, to say that if the Iran central bank were hit with sanctions, which would have made it very hard for Iran to sell oil, that would drive up the price of oil and might generate more revenues for Iran than it had before. We all know how well that logic worked out. But now that Obama has highlighted in his speech that he is determined to block additional sanctions on Iran, even going to the length of saying he's going to veto it, and now that the Democrats are siding with the Republicans, many of them are, to support those sanctions, it puts up Hillary in a very tough position. Earlier this week, Senator Kirk from Illinois, the Republican senator leading on this bill, filed a new sanctions measure, saying that stronger sanctions would be adopted if by June of this year Iran does not meet American demands to dismantle its nuclear efforts. Obama's urged a veto, but nevertheless 7 Democratic senators have crossed the aisle to co-sponsor the amendment, including Bob Menendez, the Republican ranking member of the Senate Foreign Affairs Committee, and there are 3 others that are kind of wavering. That would be 65 votes, only 2 short of what's necessary to override a veto. But whether there's a veto or an override or any of that, Obama has raised the issue of opposition to new Iranian sanctions to center stage in American politics, and it's going to stay there straight through 15 and 16, particularly if Iran either doesn't come to a deal or it comes to one that's a face-saving deal that doesn't in any way limit them, and the issue continues. But the difference is that now Hillary is trapped. Right after Obama gave her speech, she gave a speech herself the day after saying that she opposed the sanctions bill, supported Obama's saying he was going to veto it. She called it a serious strategic error. She said that it could torpedo the negotiations and that it almost assures that diplomacy will fail if it passes. Well, those are strong words, and she can't back off it. So now she is committed to a soft approach toward Iran. She is committed to it not being tough on them on the issue of sanctions. That's an issue that's going to haunt her as the 2016 campaign unfolds. A woman candidate cannot afford to be seen as wishy-washy and soft on an issue like that, particularly not coming out of an administration that probably has done more to allow Iran to develop a bomb than anybody this side of the Ayatollah. It's going to be a tough issue for Hillary. Thanks for watching.